Hello. This is T. Drake. Hoping that you will come over to listen and tune into God's gift through His Word for an inspirational, encouraging, uplifting, and motivating message. I hope that you will check me out on any podcast platform that you like. And if you get a chance, go on over to Spotify and give it a 5-star rating if you love what you hear. Remember to be blessed, motivated, and always inspired to do what the Lord lays on your heart. Don't forget to check out God's Gift Through His Word with your girl, T. Drake. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for tuning into Monday Morning Conversation with Pastor J and T. Drake. Grab your coffee, tea, or milk, and let's talk about the topic for today. Let's get the conversation going.
Hello, this is Pastor J, along with T. Drake, and we are back. Monday Morning Conversation with Pastor J and T. Drake. What's going on, T? A long time. What's going on?
Hey, Pastor J. It has been a long time. Doing well. How are you?
I am great. We got to let the people know what we've been up to. You've been in transition. You somewhere in Tuskegee, Alabama or something, huh?
Yeah, it's nice down south. Nice and good.
Starting over, new life, new things. I know you guys have missed us, but we're back. We're going to start off with that triple threat, and we're going to add a subtitle to Cloak and Cover, and we're going to start today with that on HUBSON, and then we're going to go straight into our famous cuffing season. So just sit back, relax, and as T would say, get you something to drink and enjoy our comeback. It's like, I feel like Rocky, like we're making a comeback.
We should have had a theme song.
Right. Well, maybe we'll have one. We're going to have a theme song. But again, we want to thank you guys for holding on and supporting us on our podcast and our individual podcasts. But we're back together doing this project, Monday Morning Conversations. You'll be able to hear that on any platform that you listen to, podcast or YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and some excerpts on Instagram. But please check out the Walk of Truth Radio Network, and you hear the podcast. And like I say, God's Gift Through His Word. You can find Tanika. It'll be on her podcast, and it'll be on also the Walk of Truth Radio Network podcast. T, name some of the places that they can find us on the podcast end of it.
Okay, well, for podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, you can also check on Amazon Alexa. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and just a lot of different places. So
that's right. So now that we're back and the introductions have been made, we're going to get started with HUBSON. HUBSON, that's a new word for somebody. It's HUBSON. And ladies, I want to ask you, I want you to be honest, are you married to a HUBSON, quote unquote, air quotes, beta male? So we're going to get started with an article that we found on the internet. We went through several. We picked this one, and then we're just going to get started on a HUBSON. So look, T, who do we have today for our article?
Okay, so this article is coming from independent.ie, and it was written May 20th, 2014, and the title says, Yes or No Debate. Should Alpha Women Marry Beta Men?
Okay, that should be interesting. Go ahead.
Okay, and so here we go. It says, many people resist the notion that beta males make perfect mates for alpha women because they believe that the beta men are second rate. For all that the world is changing when it comes to gender inequality, it's still a social norm that men must be the breadwinners and that those who aren't must be deficient. It isn't true. Beta males have no problem bringing home the bacon. They simply know that women does not live by bacon sandwiches alone. Being a trouser-wearing woman in my marriage doesn't mean being married to a lesser man. Quite the opposite. It means he's able to let me flourish because he is kind, trustworthy, forgiving, and secure. Alpha males are surely prime candidates for heart attacks before they reach retirement, declaring on their deathbeds that they wish they'd spent more time with family. That's one regret this alpha-beta pairing will never have to face. I've just I just had a conversation with a friend about an acquaintance of ours who is getting married. His wife-to-be has already started talking about leaving her job and becoming a stay-at-home wife to our pal. As friends do, we went straight to our judging place when we heard this. What sort of modern woman does that? We cried. What sort of a modern man is happy to enter into this kind of unbalanced arrangement? My friend broke it down into simple terms. If you were a hard-working alpha male, would you choose your natural equal, the brainy, stressed-out woman with her own high-octane career to worry about, or would you opt for the gorgeous, carefree woman who has spent the day making a beautiful cocoon for you to return to after a trying day at work, even if you were ultimately paying her to do so? When she put it like that, I was almost tempted to propose to this woman myself. But can you imagine the opposite happening? A man deciding to give up to work to be a stay-at-home husband to his alpha wife? Not likely. The pairing off of alpha males with beta females is long established dynamic, but it hasn't traditionally been as successful the other way around. There are famous examples, of course, Margaret and Dennis Thatcher being the most cited. According to a new book by Dr. Sonia Rhodes, the alpha woman meets her match. This alpha and beta pairing is the secret of a happy life. Dr. Rhodes says beta men are more supportive and less threatened than their alpha counterparts when in relationships with alpha women. I did Dr. Rhodes' personality test just for fun and scored as exceedingly dominant, also known as alpha. Her test advised me to soften my character by developing my beta side and suggested that I should be with a high beta type partner, albeit one with a mid-dose of alpha in order to avoid constant power struggles. The trouble is, alpha women tend to be attracted to alpha men. Personally, despite hoary old things like opposites attract, I believe that more equal and alike you are in your relationship, the more likely you are to be happy in your relationship. If one person is more dependent or reliant on the other, it can skew the relationship by setting up an unfair balance of power. This is often necessary when raising children, but equally hiring a decent childminder and cleaner. Statistically, women do more housework than men can address these problems. This is certainly not meant to come across as some sort of imperialist argument for pairing off like with like. I'm not sure I agree with the rating system of alpha, beta, and so on. Whatever works best for each individual, obviously, is the way to go when it comes to love. We all know couples who are terrible on paper, but who work like a dream in reality. But the idea that you would modify your relationship goals so you don't have to modify your career goals or your dominant personality sounds a little too much like the suppression of desires to fit in some archaic male ideal of what women should be and how they should behave. I still think people with similar philosophies and levels of ambition, whether those ambitions are carried out in the home or the workplace, are better suited than those who with entirely opposite views, sensibilities, and personality types. If you want to reduce the world to such simple, reductive types as alphas and betas, I think equals are much more likely to understand each other, and more likely to find each other intellectually stimulating. If you're looking for a support system, why not hire a shrink, a cleaner, and a nanny? Then you can choose the partner you actually want. The end.
All right. Well, that was a good article on some fronts. It was interesting to me that she said that she would think about, in jest, proposing to her girlfriend who wanted to provide the cocoon. But let's get started with this. Couple of things that I heard in that article that I want to address. The first thing I want to address is HUBSON. The definition that I came up with of HUBSON and some others that I talked to, we're not, and we're talking about the trouble of it. Of course, when you have a utopian world and she painted as, oh, this is the great person for her. Well, it may be, and then it may not be, because what I found out is if she marries a beta male, that's a HUBSON, that joy of his sensitivity, his ability to let you do what you do, you'll find out that he is doing what he wants to do, and he might not be able to take care of nothing when it comes time to, because you think about what she said, T. She said a dose of alpha, right?
Right, a dose.
A dose of alpha. Well, I wonder what that dose is. So the HUBSON is one that's, he's your husband, he's your boyfriend, but he's more like a son to you. And that's really spooky, because you know that you don't want to have an affair with your son, but you've married a son-like person, meaning they're loving, they're caring, but they're so independent. You got to wipe their nose, clean their underwear, make sure they take out the trash. If you give them a bill to pay, you got to double back and make sure that it's done. They'll sit there and tell you one thing and do another, all to get what they want. And then that is where a HUBSON becomes a problem. When they go into their son mode, when you need them to be a husband. Like she said, the beta needs a dose of alpha. Okay? T, what kind of definition would you say a HUBSON is? How would you define it from a woman's point of view, a HUBSON?
Well, I think it's an adult male that has the mindset of a boy and brings more stressors and challenges than they're worth.
Okay, that was a good short definition. And again, this is the beta male. Now, can the beta male work? Of course, because she just said it. He has to have a dose of alpha. The only problem is when a lot of times when these females, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, when they pick a beta male, they don't know if he has any alpha in him. And by the time you find out, it's too late, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a lot of these beta males that run around. But when the thing about it is they're almost like what we're going to talk about later in Coffee Season with Chameleon. It's almost like you don't know until you get with them who they really are. And they come and show like they are an alpha, but when you get them, you get to see how much you have to do as a woman, how many things you have to do, how much you have to pick up, the slack you have to do. And because you can't really trust that person, the beta male, is going to do what he said he's going to do, then like you were stating, you have to double back. You have to check. You have to make sure your eyes and your teeth and everything's crossed. That's a lot of extra work that you have to do, like you would have, like you just said, a son. So it is doing extra work with a grown man that should be able to do a lot of these things without a woman having to go after and look after every single detail.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part, because he is grown. So there is a tendency for him to pull the I'm grown card, but his irresponsibility messes things up. Finances, relationships with other people, your professional career, because on one end, he loves the money. He loves that, but he still wants to assert himself as the man at some point. But usually he inserts himself as the man in the wrong time, in the wrong situation, beating his chest, and everybody's looking at him. And the people know he's the beta. The people know that he's a HUBSON. And instead of him sitting back and relaxing at the right time, it seems like the HUBSON always steps on his foot at the wrong time and comes and embarrasses the alpha female who's doing what she can for the family. But again, like you said, she realizes at some point in time, she has the 13-year-old that maybe is 40 years old, and there's nothing she can do about it. At the time, she loves him, but it's very, very psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually frustrating. You know, I would be amiss if I didn't throw any Bible in this to show who a beta male is by definition. King Ahab was a beta male. Jezebel, and we're not going to disregard her wickedness, she was an alpha female, but she controlled him. She wanted to make sure that he had what he wanted. She catered to his needs. And if you think about it, she catered to his needs so much that she crossed God, and she ended up getting killed because of it. Because she's the one who lied on Nabal and got his vineyard stolen, all because her husband wanted it. And what did he do when he couldn't get it? When the man said, You cannot get my inheritance. This is my inheritance. And by God's standard, it's mine. It does not belong to you. He went home, started crying. And I think this wasn't the first time he ever did this. Went home, started crying, turned his face away, turned his head to the wall in the bed. And here comes Jezebel. What's wrong, husband? Oh, well, Nabal said I couldn't get the vineyard and he wouldn't sell it to me. And she said, oh, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And she took care of it to her own detriment because she had Nabal killed. She's an example of an alpha female. And then you have the Proverbs 31 woman, who in contrast is an alpha female, but she also being an alpha female who actually is thinking and is planning. You see all the great attributes of her because she is a businesswoman. And to be an entrepreneur, you have to be an alpha something to get things done. And she was that woman. You have the beta male also in a situation with Barak and Deborah, where Barak would decided he wasn't going to go to battle unless Deborah went into battle with him. He became a burden to her. So a HUBSON is a man that you may be married to or potentially married to that is a burden to you as this alpha female who's going out, handling the world, has a career, and all those things. I don't think it's as cut as dry as you shouldn't, but if you got a good one, great. We're not talking about him. So ladies, if you got that beta male and he doesn't frustrate you, but I know too many women who settle for the beta male and they are despondent at this point because it's like a child. You know they're going to do something crazy next. But what the problem is, the beta male will cost you a lot more than you could ever plan on paying for any incident and accident that comes up. So, T, you got anything on that before we take our first break? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to put something in quickly before we do. And when you were just saying that, unfortunately, it does cost. It costs so much. And when people say at the very beginning, when they get into these relationships, they might say, I'll be able to handle this. It's not going to be that bad, until they realize that they're more stressed out than they were before being in a relationship with that person. And it causes all kinds of stressors and also illnesses that will come because people forget that even though you're working, physically, your mind is getting stressed out and providing your body with some extra stuff that could turn into illnesses because you're taking on extra responsibilities that you shouldn't have to.
And I want to say before break too, I'm thinking, and this is my opinion, and we're just giving commentary. I'm thinking that the beta male that's not any trouble is a great match, but the one who's a HUBSON, a subsection of beta male, actually is quite dangerous because, like you said, he'll stress you out. And now, hold up, you're taking the alpha male place, like in the article, and you're having a heart attack at a young age because you're doing everything. Mm-hmm. And he's taking. And what little bit he gives, like she talked about the bacon and the eggs, the little bit that she gives turns out at the beginning, it may seem like bacon and eggs, but as you're being stressed out, it becomes a happy meal with nothing in it. It just becomes a happy meal with nothing in it. So we have a sponsor this time around, and it's T. Drake's book, and we'll be right back. T, tell them our sponsor.
Yes, our sponsor is the book called The Gift of Finding God's Love, Guilt and Shame Turned into My Shine. You guys, please check that out either on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever you can get your books. Remember, it's not okay to be harmed by anybody.
And with that, please, thumbs up. Get into the comments. We'll be in the comments with you, and we'll talk to you about what we said. If you like it, fine. If you have some extra, fine. If you love to come on and be a guest, let us know in the comments. But thumbs up, and share, and we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Tanika Drake, and I am going to share a book with you that I've written called The Gift of Finding God's Love, Guilt and Shame Turned into My Shine. Please check that book out either on Barnes & Noble, or you can find it at Amazon, or any place where you can get that book. Remember, it is not okay for anyone to hurt or harm you. Please check that book out, and happy reading, everyone.
Hey, you guys, we're back. Hey, T. Drake, we're back.
Hey, welcome back, everyone.
We're talking about HUBSON, which is part of Cloak and Cover subsection of Cloak and Cover. Don't forget, we're going to get into cuffing season a little bit later on the next Monday morning conversation. It may come a little later, but it's coming. Don't worry about it. I know everybody loves those two subjects, but now we want to talk about the HUBSON. We read an article earlier. I want to get back to that. The HUBSON. Well, let me do this. The alpha male. And I think the alpha male gets a bad rap in this effeminate time, feminine moon rising time that we got going on, especially in America. And and you paint him like a Neanderthal that he can't think, he can't do, and you're using historical figures. And I could use somebody like Jay-Z and Beyonce. I consider them two alphas. And they're doing fine. They have problems like anybody else. But on paper and in relationships, they seem to be doing fine. They can handle the world that they're in fine. I don't think somebody could handle Beyonce that wasn't an alpha, or Jay-Z that wasn't an alpha. And this is what I would want to say. Like the lady said, the doctor said, and it was quite interesting. Did you pick this up? She said that the beta male has a dose of alpha. Did you check that out?
Yes, it's a mid dose of, has to get some of that.
So then, what qualities do you think she was talking about when she said, what would that dose look like to you if you said, okay, I'm going to get this beta male, but I want him to have a dose of alpha? What kind of qualities would you look for?
Okay, well, responsibility, accountability, like you always talked about, but with what I was reading, it sounds like she was really doing the whole power struggle. And if she's going to be the alpha woman and whoever her spouse is beta, then she doesn't want to have to deal with, and sorry ladies, to submit to her husband, because he would be alpha and of course he would be head of the household. So she wouldn't have to come under that and submit that way, because she would be able to get her way, her being the alpha and him being the beta. She kind of gets to run whatever it is she wants. So when she said a mid-dose of that, in order to avoid the constant power struggle, that's the only characteristic that I see. Everything else could probably fall to the wayside, but it's the power struggle for those that are alpha women that do not want to submit to the alpha male. That would only be my thing. If normal alpha women want to submit to the alpha men, that's not going to be an issue. It's the ones that do not want to do that, there's going to be a problem.
So in other words, this woman, she painted herself into a corner, basically saying she rebels against submitting. Okay?
Correct.
And let me show you something that's in the Bible. I'm not going to get it. And I want you guys to go read it. Ephesians chapter 5. I think it starts at like verse 21. And it talks about husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. And it tells you that he gave himself up for her. He cleanses her. He supports her. He nourishes her. He cherishes her. This is God, Jesus Christ, the alpha male of alpha males, saying this is what an alpha male would do if he understands his role and his place in society. He's not worried about showing affection, being loving and caring. See, then that's the misnomer that we have. We have this misnomer that alpha males, like I said, these Neanderthals are running around power, power, power. That's not true. The alpha male it's easier for the alpha male if he can, and I said if he understands scriptural biblical manhood. It is easy for him to drift in between taking charge, doing what's needed to do to protect and sustain his family, and then allowing those who come in to help do that, which is, by the way, the wife, the helpmeet, help do so in her role, in her dominance, in what she's good in, like the Proverbs 31 women, and they work well together, because the one thing the alpha male doesn't want is failure. So an alpha male has to be thinking, does it make sense? And if at any time it makes sense for that alpha female to step into the role and take control and get the job done, the smart alpha male will step back and let it happen, and it'll be great. Because remember, she ended the article with them being equals. Mm-hmm. Her last statement was, it'd be best for them to, she thinks the equals with Berta. And yes, I believe that. I believe that. In watching my mom and my dad, I watched it work perfectly. Did they have times of power struggle? Yes. But it was something about my mom when she just knew how to acquiesce just enough not to take her idea back, not to take what she wanted back, but use that other part of her that is geared towards men in general. And she ended up getting what she wanted, and he ended up doing what she wanted to do. And she didn't care about him taking the credit when it was for the family whole. And see, I think an alpha male and alpha female, when they can understand the mission and what they're commissioned to do together, and if the idea is good, I would have no problem in saying to a female, okay, let's go and do it your way. Now, it may take me a minute to get to it, but the alpha male is not going to have to ponder over it for hours, days, weeks, months, and years, and it's a decision to be made. No, they move quickly to the right decision and let it be made. Whoever makes it, because again, it's mission one. Where the beta male, the HUBSON, oh my God, you got to ponder over it. You got to think about it. You got to sit back and run it by other people. You might even have to run it by his mom. Or, he's in a relationship, but he has to run it by his mom. I got to see what my mom thinks about this. He has to run it by his friends. He has to see if it's popular for him. The one thing the HUBSON does, the HUBSON wants to be accepted by somebody, some organization, and they actually believe that if they can get in an organization, the organization will make them. So they can project as if they're alphas and they're still betas, even in the organizations that they're joined. They're not important. In the sense of alpha. Now, are they a good part of the organization? Yeah. Can everybody be a chief? No, you got to have some Indians. But what makes a HUBSON so dangerous, he wants to be an alpha, and the things that he does to try to become an alpha tends to be detrimental to himself and his family. And he doesn't know it, but he'll sit there and stand on the wrong just to say he's an alpha. And he's not. And an alpha male would never just continue to stand on the wrong just for standing on the wrong sake. Not a thinking alpha male. A thinking alpha male say, ooh, I made a mistake. Let's pivot and do the right thing. They're quick on their feet, and they tend to get it done. Even if they make a mistake, they'll come off of that mistake and look for the answer. The beta male will ride or die right there in that hole, even though they're drowning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which is kind of funny when you say that, because if the beta male has to do that, then secretly looking for some kind of validation to validate his manhood, right? It seems like that was what he might be looking for when he has to join or be a participant in certain kind of organizations that might show a lot of masculine characters for men. And if that's the only way that this beta male has to prove himself, then they're always looking for validation, always looking for some way to notate that they're a mess. And it is kind of weird in that regard, because since the HUBSON is in that weird space of you're an adult male, however you act like a child, it's a strange place to be in, because there's nowhere to put them for real, because they don't really take on the responsibilities of being the adult. But then when they need to pull that, I'm a man, you can't tell me what to do, pull that card, but then they want to be treated like someone else, take care of everything. So it's just like they maneuver in and out of both sections of that life, which can be, I think, frustrating and tiresome all at the same time.
Yeah, and I like what you said. They flow in and out of that, and they flow in and out of that beta alpha thing. It's always like a minute late, you know what I'm saying, a day late, a dollar short. Mm-hmm. About time they understand what they need to understand, the crisis is blown up, the house done burnt down, the sink done fell through the floor, the roof done caved in, and now they're, oh yeah, no, I shouldn't have stood on that. Right. Oh, and another one of the qualities I see, and this stuff I get from ladies now. I'm not making this up for men, because I don't, I do whatever. But the ladies tell me, one thing they say is the alpha man costs them a lot of money, in the sense of when they get a HUBSON, alpha man, beta man, when they get a HUBSON, the HUBSON actually needs more toys, needs more things. They're the one that's most likely to have that midlife crisis where they have to like buy the sports car for real, for real. You know, a alpha male, he's cool in whatever he come up in because his personality is so strong that it doesn't make a difference. He thinks that he makes the car. As much as the car may make him, he makes the car. Where the beta male, the HUBSON, he has to have the car to fit the image that he's trying to portray. Okay?
Yeah.
He has to have that image. So he has to have toys. He has more, whatever you think of. He has a large video game. He has a lot of toys. Whatever it is, it's an over and abundance. If it's video games, it could be alcohol, it could be clothes, it could be a whole bunch of things. He has an overabundance of these things that she has to afford because he couldn't normally afford it on his income. He has to siphon from her. And when they first started dating, and this is kind of interesting that I found out too. When they first started dating, she would cater to him, and it was kind of cute because she really likes him. She likes his tenderness. She likes all of that. But eventually, he'll take her out maybe once or twice, and then she'll just jump in because she's an alpha male and she wants better for the both of them. She'll find herself starting to foot the bill. You know what I'm saying? He starts off footing the bill, but he doesn't foot the bill at the level that she wants. And then all of a sudden, it's like a slow turn. And next thing you know, she's planning the outings. She's paying for it. And he's sitting back enjoying it. You know, whereas when they dated the first time, he had to go get a haircut. He gets one maybe every 3 weeks, that kind of thing. But now you want your boo to look good all the time. And instead of him stepping up, paying for his own haircut, not drinking as much, not going out with the fellas as much to pay for it, because his income won't allow him to go every week, you'll say, hey, boo, you go every week, get your haircut because you want him to look good for you. Well, you were cool with the haircut, but guess what he comes in next? He wants the manicure. And then he wants a pedicure. Then he wants a facial. Then he wants a massage. Well, you started it and you want to make him happy. So next thing you know, his $30 haircut is now turned into a $160 fare every week. But you're footing the bill. And it's a gradual thing. By the time you wake up, you're like, why am I $480 short of where I normally be? Well, you look back, is HUBSON is actually taking from you and using your kindness to be the trouser winner, and he's leaning on you. But eventually, all the women that I know that have confided and talked to me about this, all of them become highly frustrated because the one thing they can't do, they can't keep the money that they're used to in their bank for their own ease of mind. And they have to be worried about, in the HUBSON, if he sees there's extra money in the bank, you might as well call it gone to the wind. Because he looks at that as his money that he can go out and do something that he wants to do that's fun. A HUBSON is always looking to be entertained by the money that's in the bank that is left. He doesn't believe in saving. All he wants to do is, as long as the lights come on, he don't care. He don't care. If there's extra money in the bank, saving for something, especially if it's something for the family. Now, if it's something for him, hey, he'll make sure the money's there. But instead of making sure the money's there, he'll just take it. And you thinking you got $500 in the bank, and you go look, and 2 days later, you got $25. You're like, where did it go? Oh, I went and got myself this. I went and got myself that. And then you're thinking at some point, he done took out the money, but he didn't buy me anything. Or he'll buy some Yeezys and buy you some Chuck Taylor Converse. And talk about, here, baby. You know what I'm saying? He done went out and drank with his friends and paid the bar bill and then taking you to the Olive Garden.
Now, see, that just makes me wonder, when we're talking about this, how much are women willing to settle, drop their boundaries into accepting the behaviors of these type of beta males, that they tolerate certain actions that they would not tolerate normally, that because they're playing on this biological clock, or they don't want to be alone, or whatever the thought in their head is it worth having that warm body in your bed to sacrifice your sanity, your financial, all of that, just to have a warm body in your bed? Plus, you want, of course, let's be real, you want the physicality of it all. Is it worth the sacrifice of the undue stress and the financial burden that you have to bear till death do you part, if your body doesn't crap out on you first?
Yeah, yeah, and it's highly stressful. So, in this doctor's analysis of what she was talking about, I don't agree with it, because again, the Bible gives us an example, and the key is, if you're going to say alpha beta, I think it's easier for the alpha male again to learn to be beta based upon the word of God and understanding who Christ is in him, than it is for the beta male to raise up and become an alpha male. If you think about Gideon, God came to him and said, "You're a mighty man of valor." And he's like, "Who, me? Not me. I'm the scariest one of them all." And then what God had to do for the beta male is what? Do a whole bunch of miracles. And Gideon questioned him all the way before he actually took his lead. And see, that's what I'm saying. It's easier for a Joshua to have the heart for his people, a Moses to have a heart for his people, a Jesus to have a heart for his people, than it is when I see in the Bible the beta male rising to the top, because Barak and Gideon were beta males that required some kind of a prodding, some kind of pushing into their leadership roles. Whereas the alpha male personality doesn't question his ability per se, but questions God's choice of them in lieu of their fallen personality, and they're not really being as perfect as they think as they have set a standard for. The alpha male can show humility when they meet an objective, superior situation, person, or God. He falls to his face because he's run to God. But again, like I said, Moses didn't require a whole bunch of miracles to accept the challenge. He just wanted to make sure God was choosing the right one based upon the things he had done, the alpha things he had done. Remember, he killed the Egyptians. The miracles were to show Pharaoh who God was. And once Moses got the assignment, yes, he probably was thinking about it, but he went back like an alpha, just like he left, because he had been exposed to the true and living God. But we do see where there are times where the alpha male is such an alpha male that I notice in the Bible too. I'm going to balance this out. That you really see the alpha males in the Bible sometimes not having a relationship with their family, because you really don't know nothing about Moses' sons. You really don't know nothing about Joseph's sons, other than, they were the half tribes of Joseph's tribe. You don't see the relationships, David and his alpha son, Absalom, didn't have a really good relationship. So that, again, I guess we can balance it out saying it's not a perfect world. But I think what I hear from females, and again, please get into the chat, let us know what you think. This is just our commentary back and forth. What I see is that the HUBSON, we talking about the HUBSON beta male in particular, can cause major problems in a relationship. So T, is there anything else you want to add to that?
Of course. But I'm just going to add a little bit. When we're talking about HUBSONs, like you said, with all that you're balancing with the alpha and the beta, there are always extremes on each side. So even with the beta, if you get the wrong one, right, you get the wrong beta HUBSON, that's dangerous on that side. That's dangerous for you. So to every point of having a beta male, it's already bad enough that you'd have an alpha male that might be that. But if you have a beta male that's not secure in his manhood, not secure in who he is, and always having to prove who he is, that could be very detrimental, especially if there's something that you might make a decision on and he's just not okay with it. There's just so much conflict that could come and arise just for the simple things that normally probably wouldn't be an issue, but because this particular man has to make it known and has to prove that he is in control, it's just always having to prove something.
Yeah, and what he'll do is, when the going gets tough, he'll hide behind her, and that's what we're gonna, we're kind of leading into cuffing season just by talking about this. If when the going gets tough, he'll throw her out there and leave her out there by herself, and he'll say, "You've been wearing the pants all this time. I'm not gonna rise up to be an alpha male. I'm not gonna grow some balls. You just go out there because you've been wearing the trousers all the time." Okay. And then that gets frustrating because she has no place to rest. She is always on point. She has to worry about everything from a 360-degree spectrum. She has to worry about everything, including the children. And don't let you have children by HUBSON, because you may have one child and you really got two. And one you really don't have control over unless you're doing what they want to do. See, the HUBSON becomes manipulative at some point, and in this in this cuffing season, in this cloak and cover thing we're going to talk about, they become manipulative. If they're good at it, they will always have somewhere to land. Because what they'll do is project that being an alpha male, but have that so-called feminine side, as they say. And then that woman be like, "Oh, my boo care for me, my boo this." And then, like I say, once that boo start costing you, once that boo get in your pocket real good, once that boo start making mistakes that cost you things and careers and all that stuff and promotions, and I've seen it cost women their jobs because he is so insecure. He got to talk to her 24/7 on the job. If your man got to call you on your job all the time, and it's all the time to the point that you can't get your work done and your boss sees it, thank God we got cell phones, but these guys wouldn't care if you had a desk phone. They'd call anyway. And they would get upset if they can't talk to you because they're trying to maintain control over you. And what you end up doing, you might be frustrated, but you'll go ahead and buy them something. If they don't get something, they know how to get under your skin. The HUBSON, just like a child, knows how to get under your skin and manipulate you. What you were talking about today, like being sick. The kids know what role and what button to push so they can stay home.
Right.
They know just the faces to make, the groans to make, to stay home. Well, the same thing with a HUBSON. He knows what he needs to do to continue to get what he wants and be pacified in the relationship. So those are the things that we need to look out for, the HUBSON. And again, please, thumbs up, get in the comments, give a comment. If you think that we're crazy, we're off, please let us know, because that's how we grow. We exchange ideas, and please be nice in the comments. But again, these are the things that I've experienced, Tia's experienced, and we thought we'd talk about the HUBSON during this time. T, do you have anything else about the HUBSON? Because we went a little long, so we're going to break in a few minutes, but is there anything, how you want to wrap this up with the HUBSON?
You don't need to get a HUBSON, and it's okay to be single. Get yourself a teddy bear.
All right, it's okay to get it. Okay, I would say make sure you test the waters. Make sure, and some of the ways you could do that. Okay, he's a beta male. He still should be committed, accountable, responsible. Okay. See if he pays his child support on time. See if he pays his bills on time, the ones that he has without you, before you make your commitment to him. See how he pays his bills. See what his hygiene routine it is normally. Without you, how much he pays for his own hygiene routine. See what kind of restaurants and places he wants to take you, and he's willing to pay for all of it without you opening your pocket. Does he truly look at you like a prize, or does he look at you like a wallet? And those things are hard to detect, but that's where we'll give you advice in the cuffing season to kind of watch out for these dudes, because even though they may be HUBSONs, they may be sharks in disguise. and wolves in disguise, knowing how to prey on vulnerable women. You know, one of the articles I read, T, was, and I thought was quite fascinating, was they said that women, and again, that's a majority, you know, you can't use it as a majority thing, but they said some women, after breaking up with the alpha male, looks for the comfort of the beta male, because where the alpha male has hurt them emotionally, okay, they look for that beta male to be that soft landing. But then if that beta male's a HUBSON on the prowl, you're going from the frying pan into the fryer. Matter of fact, you're going from the fryer pan into the pressure cooker. You know?
Yeah.
Have you ever been exposed to a beta male that tried to be an alpha male? Did you know any kind of qualities in him? Anything in him?
Yes, I had one, unfortunately.
I mean, what?
Quality.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. One quality is always trying to, like I stated before, proving that they're the man, proving that they have control, proving that they rule, just proving. Just always doing that, always wanting to, once again, have the control dynamic to show their power. That's always one of the major things, is to show the power and the control. Then the manipulation of that power and control to make sure that they maintain that same thing. And then it goes just deeper into different parts of the relationship, be it the spiritual, financial, all of that. It just starts to interweave itself throughout the entire relationship and every aspect and every dynamic of that.
Yeah, when you said that, that made me think of another quality of the beta HUBSON. They are so sensitive to criticism. Oh my goodness. They are so sensitive to criticism. It's like when the alpha male criticizes them, they tend to do the Ahab thing. Their wives or their girlfriends comes in and start windmilling for them. And you know, one of the worst conversations that I ever have with people, since I'm a pastor, is with that alpha female defending the sensitivity of her unperforming, non-committal, not CAR type male, not committed, not accountable, not responsible, make excuses for him. And then you always end the conversation with this: I know he's basically a HUBSON, but he's mine. And he's so sensitive to criticism because his feelings gets hurt. And Pastor, you hurt his feelings, or somebody hurt his feelings because they criticized him or challenged him. And now he goes home and sulks. And he tries to act like he's a man sulking, but, you know, he cusses or whatever and gets upset and talks about the situation. But he doesn't have any critical thinking behind it. He takes all criticism so bad to the heart and not to the head. And he'll actually shut down on you. I mean, I've had conversation with several different women throughout my ministerial, and it's a funny conversation where they'll come up to you and just say, hey, Joey is sensitive, and you know, you can't talk straight with him. And I'm the kind of guy that it's one thing to be figuring out a woman and how to court her and how to talk to her into her sensitivity. But it's a whole nother thing sitting here trying to figure out a male's sensitivity. I'm not skilled in that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not skilled in finding his feminine side and then finding my feminine side to deal with his feminine side. And you know, you know, how do we get anything done with that? You know, because the times that I've tried, it left me all kind of frustrated, like I didn't say what I needed to say. and I tried this, and it's still whatever I wanted to accomplish didn't get done, because now every time I talk to them, I got to worry about never critiquing what they're doing, even though they may be doing something that is totally wrong and totally antithetical to the mission at hand and won't get the mission accomplished, from being late to not committing to not participating, just all kind of things they do. And the minute you point it out, they fold back up, and here she come. He's very sensitive. I can't. I just can't. I'm an alpha male, and I will admit my defeat. I can't. I look for males that are equals. And in the next segment, we're going to close it out with equals. So we'll be right back. And again, our sponsor is T. Drake's book. And T. Drake, what is your book?
The book is called The Gift of Finding God's Love, Guilt and Shame Turned into My Shine. Don't forget to get it from Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or anywhere you get your books. It's never okay to be harmed by anyone.
All right, and we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Tanika Drake, and I am going to share a book with you that I've written called The Gift of Finding God's Love, Guilt and Shame Turned into My Shine. Please check that book out either on Barnes & Noble, or you can find it at Amazon, or any place where you can get that book. Remember, it is not okay for anyone to hurt or harm you. Please check that book out, and happy reading, everyone.
Okay, we're back, and we're glad you have stayed with us. We hope you're enjoying yourself. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thumbs up. Leave a comment, and get into the comment section. We'll be in the comment section, comment back and forth with you. And we look forward to, if you want to come in and be a guest on our show, a co-host, we would love to have you. So, T, we're talking about the HUBSON, and I guess we're going to wrap this up with her last part, which I think was very, very telling of her understanding. It shows me she has a good grasp on it, looking at it circumspectly. She said it would be best, she believes, of equals. And I think that is the best. Because if we're both trying to pull the train, and we understand through thinking that there's times when I need to jump forward. There's times when you need to jump forward. There's times when I need to acquiesce. There's times when you need to acquiesce. And we're both seeking the best solution for the problem at the time, because in the end, we're a good team. It's like a championship basketball team. It's like everybody that's on the basketball team was something somewhere to even get to the professional level. They at high school, they were all American. In college, they were this. And what you do is you bring all these alpha males together as the coach, and you find a way to make all these males understand it's mission one. And when they understand their role, they are comfortable being who they are, knowing that there's other roles that may be more colorful, maybe more seen, may get more credit. But the mission is to win a championship, and they work together. And that's the beauty of a coach who's dealing with alpha males. It's like his job is to get all these men to understand mission one, their roles, and let them be the best in their role that they can and play with each other. They are equals. Even though one may have stats other than the other, these guys are equals, because they couldn't get to this level unless they were equals. So I think the equality equation is a great for alphas. Now, again, we have the HUBSON, and I guess the opposite would be the daughter-wife. Okay? And that would be a disaster for them two to get together, because basically what ends up happening with them, and I've seen that happen in a way with a particular person. I've only seen it once, where both of them basically played each other, and they didn't get, they got what they thought they were getting something that wasn't there. And both of them put up the facade, and about the time they figured it out, they got married, And it's like, I thought you was this, or I thought you was that. And they both played each other. And yeah, it's not a good thing to see. So what do you think about the equal philosophy?
Well, I think the equals is always better because that way, intellectually, everybody will be on the same page. However, that being the case, I think equals would always be the way to go for any relationship, right? There'd be communication, understanding, and everybody can come to terms and understand where someone needs to fall back and someone needs to stand up when the weak gets part. All of that is wonderful. What I do also understand is with this HUBSON, there are characteristics that cannot be part of the equality, right? And one of those that you were just speaking of is the sensitivity, being reactive, and having to walk on eggshells, because in that regard, even with all those, that person is still using those tactics in a manipulative way. And having equality, there's none of that going on, because truth be told, everyone's acting in the same accord, and they're going towards and pushing towards the same mission, as it were, the same kind of agenda. They have the same goals. But when a person that is a HUBSON doesn't get their way, all these other things come into play that do not show equal. And when this doctor wrote this, it makes me wonder if there is still an imbalance in what she's saying, and perhaps not. I don't know. But for me, it sounds so idealistic and utopian to state that it's a great pairing, because there's going to be some part where she's going to have to shore it up. She's going to have to take a part of that with the beta male that she has, and she's going to have to. That part's not being told in this article. That's the part that's not being told.
Yeah, she's not talking about the frustration of having the HUBSON.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, she's talking about the thrills of having one. But again,
right.
when you need him to step up and think, and she described it as a dose, and I'm sure that dose is more than just a dose. Okay,
right.
And obviously she hasn't experienced the problem of having the HUBSON, the beta male, as a mate, and when things go wrong, really wrong, that again, it costs you way more than your son. See, a 40-year-old HUBSON will cost you way more than your 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, emotionally, physically, and financially. When they make a mistake or they do that thing, whereas I'm the boss, I can do what I want to do, and I'm going to show you by doing something stupid. See, and again, I got to remember, they don't think they're doing something stupid until after the fact, and it becomes stupid.
Right.
You know, like, I'm going to go out and sign for a car that costs way more than I make, because in the back of my mind, I know that you want me happy. Or
see, that's just, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, what you just said there, that just once again shows that manipulation, and it shows the tactic of, I'm going to get what I want, regardless of how the other person thinks, never conversing with that person, never even considering that person's feeling about the situation, just doing that because they know they're going to fall back on that person. And it's sad, because in all retrospect of thinking about this entire thing, the HUBSON is nothing but a grown, selfish male boy. Just selfish and all, just wants everything to them. And it doesn't care, and he doesn't care if the wife is going to suffer behind it. Don't care, lack of sleep, lack of stressors in her body, lack of finances. That doesn't matter. All that matters is he gets what he needs. He manipulates the situation to whatever, and if he has to say whatever he has to say, whatever conversation, because he's feeling sensitive, he knows that he's going to go cry to his wife. The wife's going to windmill. The wife's going to fight, and he still sits back in this very utopian kind of selfish way. I'm going to get what I want, and she's going to do everything for me, whether she wants to or not. Just being selfish, and that's very sad and kind of scary, because that person is really taking advantage of his wife in such a way that he doesn't really care how much it's costing her, regardless if it costs her her life, regardless if it costs her finances. He's only concerned about him.
Yeah. And And when we say hub son, this doesn't have to be somebody that you legally married to. This is somebody that you tied to. You won't let them go. And for some reason, what I found out in these alpha females, their pride is such that they will not let these guys go. Now, in comparison to the alpha male, he'll drop that deadbeat girl.
Right.
Be like, no, bye.
No.
You know, Kevin Samuels, goodbye. You're not living up to the standard. Goodbye. But the alpha female, she is so prideful that she'll go bald and be in therapy and gain a whole bunch of weight or lose a whole bunch of weight before she admits that what everybody else already knows. He's a hub son. You wear it on your face, ladies. God made you that way, sensitive. You may be alpha, but you still sensitive, and you wear it on your face. You wear it in your attitude. You're not smiling and grinning when you mention his name. You mention his name with frustration, with a look on your face like, oh, here I gotta go fight his battle again.
Cringing.
I have to hold on. He said he's gonna give $200 to the cause, and it hasn't happened yet. Here I come. Let me save the day and save his face. While the other males, be it alpha or beta or whatever on the other end, are looking like, if you're gonna end up being the one that does everything, we need to bypass him and come straight to you. And just leave him out the equation. And if you want to give him the credit for what you do, fine. But then that could be less stress on us. Like, we know if we need something, we need to come to you. I mean, I've had them say that to me. If you need something from him, come to me. What? Just tell me. If he makes a promise, tell me. And I'll make sure it gets done. Well, you're not going to make sure he does it. You're going to jump in and do it. Because I get it. You have less frustration if you just go ahead and do it. But it's costing you frustration in the end. Because eventually your brain is going to say, he's taking advantage of me. And all the love and the kindness and the feminine side is not going to make up for what he's doing to you. But in the beginning of a relationship where there's a problem, when you've had a bad relationship and you're looking for that soft landing, I get it. But realize it's just a soft landing. It's not the place where you need to stay. And this is a final thought on the intellectual side. Oh my God. There's only a certain level of conversation that these women tell me that they can have with their beta male, their hub sons. And it's normally very superficial. And when he tries to be deep, he's really not deep. He's kind of even shallower than normal. And he thinks he's being deep. And we know that I found out that women like intellect because that's what talks to their spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They want somebody they can talk to and have a conversation with because they like talking. And a man that can hold his own in the conversation about many different things, a Renaissance man, tends to be the man who wins in the end. Because if you just got a one-track mind dude and the only thing he does is talk about himself and talk about the table, how much he wants to do something that you're going to have to pay for, that gets old quick. Honey, I seen this or that today. And you sitting there going, oh, okay. And then you're like, well, we really can't afford it. Oh, yes, we can. I can just go ahead and do this. And then he does it, put it on the credit card, and it costs you. I'm going to pay for it. And he never gets around to giving your money back. And you'll settle in just to be a Mrs. or the girlfriend. Or like we said, we're going to get into the cuffing season just to say I got a man. So the beta HUBSON male that's out here lurking right now, he is the prime wolf. Because if you land him and get cuffed to him, it might cost you way more than go ahead and being cuffed to that alpha male for the time being. Do what you got to do. If he decides to want you and you decide to be with him, fine. But man, to me, until you can close, which one is better? The beta or the alpha? The HUBSON or the alpha husband? Which one do you think is better in the long run?
Well, for me in particular, I would say alpha. I don't want to have a HUBSON. I've already had one. I don't want another one. And they will cause you grief. I'm speaking from what I know. I'm speaking from what I've gone through. It is literal hell to deal with someone like that. And if you don't have to deal with someone, then you don't have to do that. HUBSONs can be very dangerous, I'm just saying. So just be cautious. Like Pastor Jay was saying, be cautious. Make sure you definitely check the waters of what you're doing before you say, I need a husband, or I need someone in my bed, or I'm lonely. It's going to cost you a lot more than just having someone in your bed.
With that, we thank you guys for tuning in. This Monday Morning Conversation with Pastor J and T Drake. We can be listened to at, I want to get the times right, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, we can be reached on all social media platforms, Walk Truth Radio Network, and podcasts, and God Gift Through His Word. So you can listen to us wherever you want to. Please continue to check us out. Thumbs up. Let us know subjects that you may want to talk about. We're not scared to approach any subject matter, and we just hope that you enjoyed it. Like I say, we're back. T, I'm glad to have you back. And
I'm glad to be back.
And let's go ahead and do your tagline, and I'll do mine, and then we'll get out of here, and we see you guys next Monday.
All right. This is T Drake, and remember to be blessed, motivated, and always inspired to do what the Lord lays on your heart.
And I always want you to be encouraged, blessed, and at peace. And always remember, walk in truth. So, T, talk to you next week.
All right, Pastor Jay.
Peace.